Today's awareness is about what happens if you don't have a constant practice that allows you to see you. Because what happens is this is very important. You have to understand. If you don't see you, you will say names, subjects, and objects, and you attract others to bring the illusion of yourself. Now it's like a roller coaster. When the roller coaster goes up, you're bored because it's teach you to be patient, teach you to become aware of what's going to happen. But when it goes down, when you don't have that self-awareness, you're addicted to the illusion of the drama. A lot of people are, when they go down, let's say we are using this as an analogy, they're addicted to this drama of things, the screaming, creating that sounds, throwing the hands everywhere. So now we come into the place of the illusion of yourself is the mind is very much in the place of entertainment. If the mind is entertained constantly by entertainment, it is purpose to for you to witness yourself is gone because it likes to be entertained by entertainment, entertained by a lot of people are by separation. It's entertainment, entertainment of war, entertainment of religious activities, because it is in the place of boredom, so they it's constantly need to be entertained. Or it goes on to the other polarity, it's with a which strains its capacity to find that space. Now, this is why the practice is very important because now you see systematically world is coming into the place of AI, and a lot of people are maintained and kept in a place of sanity because they went to work something other than the interest within themselves. Uh, for whatever the chore is, I will have a house, I will have a family, so let me go and do something. But if that something is replaced, and now that you don't have anything to be creative about, you just will addictively will go into the entertainment. I want to be entertained my senses. I want to entertain my tongue with food. I want to entertain my body with this, that. So this is why it is very important. If you see the karmic journey of yourself is addicted to the illusion, you create the karma of coming back to the planet and back, planet or wherever it is, uh, to still come into that realization. And if that realization doesn't happen, you continue to go on that entertainment, which is we call entertainment of the karma. Uh, so when you understand the illusion of the mind and the body, whether you have this limitation of the body and the mind, you have a life without being entertained by it because you're totally connected into the source of it. And what the practice does is it keeps you in the path. Imagine if you have opened your doors and gone out because you felt you want to run away from your, let's say the analogy of the house. And suddenly you realize, okay, I am running out of all my things. I need to go back. Or going back is 180 degree. 80 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 degree And if you have a compass, if you have a way of finding, if you have that particular path, you will find your home back. But it won't happen that easily. So when we go out of the practice to entertain something, the moment that we are being entertained, you have to understand I'm out of the practice. This is why this is entertaining me. But if you can go and entertain yourself and know it, you will enjoy both. I'm not asking you to do this and not do that. People are entertained by institutional level of the religion. People are entertained by so many things. So become your own place of that understanding of guru. Now, when I say become your own guru, I do not mean that entertain the idea of it. You just become cautious about what you call yourself. All the healing begins when you back in the source. Well, Yara, when it falls into the river, the name Yara is disappeared because it's winter source. It's only a river as far as it's flowing somewhere else. Try to find the ocean. So when you come home, you are in that space. So I want to get this because it's a very small class. Because everybody comes with certain ideas of the class. I need to physically move my body. I need to find that place of this and that. So this is a place now we are coming into, no longer entertaining anything, but just finding that illusion of what I call myself and what I call I've been hurt, I've been used, I've been all that is there. But to help that, you have to go beyond that. You will never have compassion until you have moved beyond. And what I'm trying to very gently is navigate you into that, because a lot of entertainment is there, even on the field of spirituality. The one who has the bright pictures, one who has the proper cameras, one who have the proper voice, one who have the proper intellectual language. These are all borrowed things. I'm not saying to you anything that is not being said. My language is borrowed. My body is borrowed. And I'm using those things. That is the only thing that people can relate to until they find that the source of separation is no longer existing. Every fight, every damage that has been done in generation will stop when you come into that place of the source and looking at it and looking at yourself. Because when you're not looking at yourself, you will look at every other person that has been a problem, whether it's praise or problem or whatever it is. So come to that space, saying that I will gently move the camera towards Darren. So there will be a lot of areas I will be nudging you to wake up into the source, wake up into the source. Not as an idea. Light of you is not an idea. But when I say you're a light, you will imagine being a bulb or a light. It's not. It's a realization. And that realization doesn't have to have an image. Now find a place to gently sit it, shoulders roll back, opening up that chest very gently, arms raised onto the crown, interlacing the fingers, palms facing up. Bring that lock aligning onto the head. So shoulders and rib cage is opening up very gently. And very gently, you're twisting the spine to the right side. And releasing that whatever is that mental energy is have moved away. You're bringing back the anxiety, the fear, back to witnessing it. No wandering. Back to the same. Change that leg formation. Arms raised onto the ground, interlacing the fingers, palm facing up. Take a deep breath in, observe the rib cage. And breath out, twisting the spine to the other direction. Now see that when we have an idea of that we are separate and we have an enemy, it's like a snake in the rope. Until you find it is the rope, you will be fighting constantly with it. So this is what, when you have the practice and the understanding, gently coming back. Take this moment, allow the breath to move in, allow the breath to move out, and observe what is real and what is true. And this is the moment, the abandonment of the mistaken ideas about the reality. Now take a deep breath in, tongue roll up onto the upper palate, energy gaze onto the third eye. Breathe out, collapse the spine. Breathing in, tongue roll up onto the upper palate, energy gaze. Breathe out, collapsing onto the C curve. Back into the center. So ask yourself today, what is the snake for me? So this is the snake and the rope has been used by many, many, many teachers. What happened if I have mistaken the rope as the ground for a snake and the snake only exists in that idea? And your mind is now causing a lot of worry, fear, anxiety. Now it's using a lot of mental energy. So come into that space. The fact remains there is no snake outside your imagination. So the rope was your triggering point. Now take a deep breath in and bring your left foot into the back. So you saw something and you're calling that, I know this. It is a snake. I have had experience with it. So your false idea has come. And you're superimposed with your level of knowledge and memory. It is a name. Take a deep breath in, roll the shoulders back, elevate the space of the heart. Breathe out, drop the elbows and walk those palms into the front. A couple of more breaths and release the energy of that snake. When you have the practice, that the whole idea disappears. False idea of the mind is being superimposed, and it happens. Now take a deep breath in and bring the body back. Bring the palms back, shoulders relax. So when you see the mind and the abstraction of its reality, you suddenly see, hidden by this force. But this persistent idea has nothing to do with the snake. Take a moment with anything that you're caught up with into a plank. Strong on the pelvic floor. Now, am I with plank? Am I with breath? Am I witnessing all these things? And then there is no mind. So there's no rope, there is no snake. So you're not afraid of the mind and its force. Trigger or not trigger, drop the knees and stretch the spine from palms facing up. So now you see something is not real, cannot harm you. So if the mind is not real when it is observed, then its stories are not real. Whether it's a story of the fear, story of the anxiety, it only comes if you believe that there is something real. Then it's trigger your vicinity and you pull the person next to you, have to have some validation. So ask yourself, who is making these noises? Or I only hear noises. So I get triggered constantly by the other. Palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Drop the belly, soften the hips. Coming into that snake. The cobra. Shoulders relax, overlooking to the left side, overlooking to the right side. Back into the center. And this very moment, it reveals itself. When it's revealing, the fear gone, anxiety gone, imagination gone. Back to the center. Onto the down face. Very gently opening up. You allow that space of your realization and understanding move into movement of the body, movement of the breath, movement of that space of witnessing. Left foot into the front, into the pigeon pose. Shoulders roll back, just open. Now, if you don't have a real practice and awakening, it will be a lamp that is open up to the wind of emotion, wind of fear, wind of anxiety. It will blow it, and you will stay light to light. This is not about lighting. This is taking that veil of light. Because your realization is not a flame. It cannot be blown by anything, by a passing wind or a thought or a desire or a fear. It's always there. You have to be aware of that. And the veil of your knowledge and the veil of your situation and all that is temporary. It blocks your way. Shoulders go back, lift up the space on down. Take a couple of more deep breaths in. And please lay the upper body onto the floor. Lay. Now the elbows drop the down. Because real realization does not hide behind anything. But when you start believing in the illusion of the mind, you start putting ideas that are not true, and you're veiling this. Means it's there. That means you're still in that same ride that you. Now, what does practice do is it's eradicate, it's clean one day, It takes the curtain one day, it takes the veil. So when you're in fear and illusion and separation, out of protection, you don't bring that reappearance again. While these ideas are constantly covering up. That's why you have to have a constant practice, constant sadhana. Because real you doesn't need any. But since you're carrying a mind and a body, it has imprints and your ideas. So you have to understand the mechanism can be stabilized or destabilized, but not the self. So don't tell that I am this realization. Because the realization doesn't need words. I'll take a deep breath in and very gently coming back. So sadhanas of the asana, pranayama, dharana, dhyana is to strengthen the practice into a plan. Strong on the pelvic floor. Drop the knees. Knees wide apart, this time switch to the front. Now for a moment, take a break from all the hindrances. So it's like climbing a mountain. If you are not aware about, even the mountain top is your destination or the peak of your life, it can slip any moment. So what is the practice that it allows you to pay attention to the slip? But there is an enormous effect to realize the self. It is very easy to slip, fall back into the ignorance of fear, ignorance of the separation, ignorance of giving, ignorance of all those things. The moment you can fall, you can have an argument about it, but in the end, the argument and the fight has to stop somewhere for you to take that 180-degree turn into who you are. Some people go to this place of the highest level and fight to remain there. That's also not self. Then the ego has taken the whole voyage and implementing itself. So mind has still in it. You see, you got it what I am trying to, you all with me? Palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest. Shoulders relax and chest open. Take a deep breath into a gentleness of a cobra. Now let it be that you are reaching in this very moment that space. No further effort is required. And then, if you see you're slipping, it requires the practice. Now, when you really feel the balance, you don't feel, I have to do anything. You're feeling just the space. But the mind does not like space because it is not trained to know the space, because it does not have an idea of space, imagination of the space, a story of the space. You got it? But you don't feel the weight of the thoughts, emotions in it. Body is, whether it's alive or not alive, it is free. Your movement and your speech and your constant is weightlessly. Relax the third eye onto the floor now. Now, this is why when we go to a religious place where great people who have lived and had a very simple life, you feel their vibrations. So basically, if they didn't have a separation, they leave a good vibration. You go to places where certain people are in constant separation, constant fight. And when you go into those places, I go to a lot of houses and clean them as a part of. I feel the vibrations immediately, good and bad both. I'm not talking about gross phenomenal vibrations. The vibration of a good person leaves a very subtle vibration. And you tune the radio to understand that. So you have to be in a great place to understand. If you don't have the proper tuning, you will only hear static and you will constantly contribute to name it what you're hearing is this. That's where when you are out of vibration. To have a proper understanding about the vibration, I'm answering a lot of questions. You have to have a quiet and a still mind. So whether you are healing, you have to tune into yourself to receive that frequency. You cannot expect to experience or benefit from the vibration that is there. Only it can be helpful when you surrender yourself into that. You might can live with a sage, but you might not have the same realization because your vibration is not tuned. And you can be in a total Maya and unreal dream about what one should be and not. Now, very gently bring the palms where your elbows are, breathing into a gentle up phase. Breathe out towards the down phase. Now, bend that knee one knee at a time to release any further tension and very gently coming into that space, lifting up onto the toes. And very gently walk the palms back, releasing the tension. Stomach very gently opening up and releasing any tension on the face of the digestion. Holding onto the opposite elbows. Really move the head into the front and into the back. Onto the side, releasing any further tension. Now, if you have a little block or something to sit, bend your knees and sit very gently. Now, there is no, as I always say, there is no such a thing called night thinking is dreaming, daydreaming is called thinking. So they both are in an illusion, and they both have consequences if you have not woken up. So when you are in this illusion, the acts that you committed, you take them as to be real. And when you take that into real, your body and the mind suffers from these consequences of those behaviors. Now very gently, shoulders roll back and allow that self-inquiry to happen. Where I have lost myself so that now I am awakening and taking the whale. This even happening to the deep spiritual practitioner. Even the psychology of that he thinks or she thinks that is awakened. So pay attention. So this is like when you come into this, you take 2 steps, you give 5 steps back, and you're in the same place again. When you don't have that realization, the practice, you go back. You go back to your worldly affairs. Now, very gently bring that bum onto the floor and stretch the legs into the front. Pull the buttocks out. Shake the legs, releasing the tension of the mileage of your story. This has happened to me this year, that has happened to me. Just coming into that place, you are psychosomatically not immersing in the ignorance that you have habituated and deeply rooted in your belief that this is what really happened to you. Now just observe the patterns of this behavior. Now you can reinforce the ignorance by finding a fact to support you and strengthen to hold it over you. But remember, this ignorance is so strong, so you can really get a lifetime immersed on this psychological structure. So it does need massive effort to get out of it something that has formed a breakthrough. But your breaking free is not from the other person. You're breaking free from habits and beliefs that sustain and have challenged you again and again. So you're breaking free from you. A lot of people don't like this part of the teaching, but it is the truth. Now, sole of the feet together. Release that part where you're holding that pattern, whether it's a patterns of ignorance, patterns of bring that self-awareness. Now, under the ankles, lock it onto the toes. Walk the bum back. And take a deep breath in and very gently coming into the Kumarasana. Kumarasana is great. Kumarasana is about self-awareness. When the tortoise is disturbed, the thought is disturbing. Move the head into the shell. When you come to an awareness of the self-ignorances, it vanishes. So now you don't have that same connection with that self-ignorance. If you are constantly a person who gets scared by the road, then you need to bring that light to see that something is not real. You have to really observe it, confront it. Now very gently coming back. Shoulders roll back. Let this practice be that spring cleaning for the spring, that out of the absence of the light, that cobwebs and all these things and the veils have. Let the practice bring you some light into whatever darkness is. Have hold and held you. Now very gently stretch the legs into the front. This time, knees slightly bent, feet apart. Pull out the buttocks. Arms raised onto the crown and a very gentle stretch, mainly to stretch your hamstrings and also the ribs in the back. Just piece by piece, you simply moving. You have accumulations of things that you need to work and release. So take a moment, whether you're doing through your psychological part, entering into it, whether you're doing physically to entering into it. Don't build yourself on an imaginary darkness by refusing to acknowledge the truth. A lot of people are going into this space thinking that we are against this, we are against that. Now, very gently come back, releasing the tension of that. There is no fight. There is no refusal. There is no self-inflicted ignorance constantly that you're going into this space. Now, knees to the chest. Take a deep breath in, arms raise onto the ground, feet stretch. Work on the pelvic floor, knees to the chest, breathe out. Breathing in, breathe out. Breathing in, breathe out. Breathing in, breathe out. Breathing in, breathe out. Cross the leg, twist the spine to the right side. Back to the center. Cross the leg, twist the spine to the other side. Back to the center. Just finding a seating posture and very gently take a couple of more breaths. And you're turning inward to face the self. I want you to take this moment to face the self. A lot of people, how they face themselves is looking outwards. So more you become entangled with objects and subjects, the more you lose yourself. Now you have a gravity of things putting into this body and the mind. But when you're aware of yourself, let it be the strength to keep you focused. So there's nothing now I have to throw this thought out, this person out, that person out. When the self within, you become one with it. And the darkness of the self-ignorance vanishes. Now I will tell you this, but before the class, if I tell you, you're not the body and you're not the mind, you're not the story, you would have got agitated. Now you continue to live in this body or the mind. You're in the space of that realization. And it never fades away whether you have a body or not have a body. Whether you have a mind or not have a mind. But this is not going to happen just by me saying it. Because karmically there are lifetimes of ignorance. So they make it impossible for a mind and a body to impose this. When you have finally decided that you had enough and that you want to go back to where you started. Now, if you start this with a mind and body, you will get discouraged of the length of the journey to heal. And it will slacken your effort. Ignore the pain. I am going through that a lot at the moment. Ignore the discomfort. I'm going through a lot of that. Ignore the frustration, not getting me anywhere. Keep moving back to the source. Don't allow anything to distract. Back to the place of the origination. It doesn't have to be an image. It doesn't have to be a stone. Just think that river has dissolved into the ocean. Only ocean remains. There will be no happiness in separation. A separate jiva has no happiness. A separate jiva does not have a contentment. A separate jiva does not have peace. Because it comes from the self and it has to go back there. And there only will be eternal peace when you return. So don't awaken a mind that functions separately. It is an illusion, goes into a sleep state. Until it comes into the truth. The ignorance of this fact makes it miserable. Feeling separate. That gives rise to a desire. Suffering is in any form is unhappiness. And it keeps the mind in the self. Keep the mind in the self. You can live whatever the situation is. Whether you're awake, whether you're asleep. Even in the space of relaxing, all the differences are dropped. Whether you go to work, come back, whether you go to another job. No differences means no distinctions. You will see everything as your own self. So when you are waking up, you have released all the program that I am a male, I am a female, I am a black, I am a dark, I am a girl, I am a boy, I am British, I am American. When you come into this realization, when your brain is no longer is taking decisions for you. Your brain is not now withering. or the brain is not looking into the addiction of the entertainment. Arms raised onto the ground, cleansing the aura and the space wherever you want to move this energy, vibration, and the frequency. Comes onto that space of the crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, navel, wallet. There is no limited self-interest. Arms very gently raised back to the crown, palms onto the namaskar position of this realization that you're looking and witnessing you without a story. You don't have to be devoted to anything. You're just looking at it. You're just observing all this created by thoughts. Now, there's no place that I want to be held. You don't need that philosopher, the book, the Bible, the Quran, the Upanishads. You need to come into this place to understand even that. That this self created that I need help. There is no obeying in this mind for anything. You become weaker mentally, morally, when you follow, you obey, and you become a machine. But this independence is never a question or a doubt or a skeptical. But you have to come into that realization. Namaste. See, don't listen to my teaching as the gospel truth. When I say the inquiry can be in the place of doubt, but it has to be the inquiry. Because the moment what I say one word and I contradict that word immediately. So it allows you to come into that realization. As I say now, the computers and the robots are doing everything. So what happened to this? Humanity can be just in a place of entertainment, whether it's institutional religions, institutional level of sports, TV shows, because people are in the space of boredom. I work, I make money, now I need to be entertained. My first marriage doesn't entertain me, I will go to the second marriage. My first house does not entertain, so I will buy another. But few houses down in the track, they are more, maximum 10 years, some even more quicker. I see a lot of people. Then it comes, I'm fed up of myself. It cannot be me, it has to be my partner. So I will need to find something else. So if you constantly observe yourself, you are the best soap opera. You are the best, but observe it all the time. Not as a good thing or a bad thing, but just as an observation is very important. Constantly. Yes, don't ever worry that I don't scream, I don't make mistakes. We all do. When we are tired, we do that. Even coming into this class was difficult because as I went to work yesterday, I couldn't because my rib cage is so sore after doing so much heavy work with the pressure cleaning. But I could see all that tiredness. It's a lot of pain. I woke up this morning thinking that I can't even teach. But I come into this place because it's a realization for my own practice too, being with you all and doing it. I can blame the world, I can see the separation of the world, but I'm very tired. But I'm seeing all of it. But I'm seeing from the lens of right, not right or wrong. But sometimes it's very hard to protect the truth or to explain the truth also. So I think I'm learning to be silent on those matters. Everyone is doing what they could do. I can't get this class if Daza is also not there on the mat and helping all these things, technology and all that thing. So if I see the limitedness of everything, and then Nicolina release it from there so people can revisit the classes. I do have a lot of people coming and say how much these classes are beneficial. They are beneficial as far as your interest is there. This is utter mumbo jumbo to someone who does not understand this. So everything is exist. What I'm trying to say is the world is rapidly going very quicker. Don't run that race because you will be very tired. And there are a lot of gifts in the world too. You will only see it in silence, not consideration. And don't think that your time is over and everything is now new and all that. That's also not correct. Your time is planned and given to you by something much more higher than what you think. And there is a purpose, there's a color, there is a fragrance, there's a vibration, there's a frequency that is needed just from you. And it is very important as just anyone else. But when you look at social media or look at anything, you think every idea is being taken and you get fed up because you don't want to do anything authentically. Because it's like a thought. Now, when you are addicted to thought and you can't get rid of that thought, imagine you are having an image and a music into that thought, an emotion, and constantly it's coming up on your feed. That's how the mind works. So remember, you are not the mind. You're meant to look at you, or look at all these things, but don't avoid it. Use as entertainment, but don't get entertained by it. Because you might have moved so far from home and you may have today to take that 180-degree turn to go back. And the first thing is I'm tired. I don't have the time and the money and the age and the body. This happens to me. I'm talking from my own experience. I only can teach you what I have experienced. I know nothing about anything other than my own experience. If I'm using anything other than that, that is all borrowed content. I have a very weak body. I have a very imaginary mind. So observing these two is a quite lot. So my pranam to you if you're observing things and family and jobs and all that. That's a lot. Because these two are a lot for me. It's a family that I never had. or relationship I never had. And this mind and body does not come to agreement all the time. Saying that my love to you all, beautiful hearts to Sarah, Sylvia, Deza, Maria, and Sage. Love you all very, very much beyond this explanation.